It's your afternoon drive. Let's keep it alive. You know what time it is. The number one show in SimWorld, BLAZIN Takes. I am, of course, Rick Blaze, and I am joined by my everyday brother, Siege. How we doing today?
We're living large Thursday, pre-Friday, you know how it is. But once again, commitment craze continues on, so we still got a lot to talk about here, Rick. They're doing the work for us recently, so let's hop right into it. First thing I kind of want to ask you about how you feel about this, because I know you can go back and forth just as well as any of us can with anybody.
Oh, yeah.
But there's been kind of a as the league gets a little more eyes on it, gets a little more popular, there has been more and more fan comments, and some would call them trolls. The internet trolls, things like that. And we've seen a few players and even some coaches kind of get caught up in going back and forth with these fans who comment on threads about them or post about the league, things like that. And some of them are, fine, like it's not a big deal, just nice interaction. But some of them get kind of heated, and you see players and coaches arguing with a fan. What's kind of your thought on that?
Well, excuse me. As a general rule, I don't think it's a good idea. I think coaches need to be focusing on their teams, and I think the players need to be focused on getting better. So, as a general rule, I do not think it's a good idea to entertain silliness by fans and trolls. But I will say this. My mama always told me, if you can't take a lick, you probably shouldn't pass one. So
that's fair.
I don't agree. I think coaches need to relax. I think players need to relax. I think the fans and trolls need to relax. Now, fans and trolls are going to do what trolls are going to do.
It's going to happen. That's their whole purpose. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. So I would always be on the side of, hey, as a coach and as a player, let's just let that go. Now, of course, it's easier said than done when you're not in those shoes, right?
Much easier.
Much easier said than done. So I'm not for it, but I will say, if a player or if a coach having to get on your ass as a fan or a troll because you're trolling, I ain't mad at him.
I think I agree.
If he jumped down your throat, if you threw a lick, if you hit him with a jab and he comes back with an uppercut, I ain't mad at him.
Yeah, look, that's kind of my thoughts. Like, I'm not mad at the troll for getting shot back at. You know what I mean? Like, this is not. I have no sympathy for the trolls, for the fans who kind of rag on these high school players. But I think my whole thing is that, like, again, this is a prep level league. The amount of fans is not. There's not a huge amount of fans, so there's not a great amount of trolls. So on the players' side of things, my thing is, once you get. Say that you're one of the talented players who's going to get the opportunity to play at the next level. Once you hit the college level, there are going to be a lot more fans. And with that, there's going to be a lot more haters. And let's say you're even luckier or you're even more fortunate and you find your way into the pros. Well, guess what? You can ask Kevin Durant. You can ask LeBron James. No matter how good you are, no matter how many people love you, that probably means there's going to be more people who are going to tear you apart every day online. And so I think it's kind of it's like a learning moment. Like, yes, you're still at the prep level. Like, there's not as many eyes on you, but you got to learn to just let it go. I think you just got to you got to remember that, like, these are just it's some dude behind his keyboard, and more than likely he's just trying to get behind your skin. Like, he's just trying to get under your skin. Coaches, on the other hand, I have a whole different thought process on. Coaches, I really don't think there's an excuse for a coach to go back and forth with a fan. Unless they are saying something aggressively negative about one of your players consistently. But even then, it's kind of like, as the coach, you're the adult in this situation. If your kids that you coach are seeing you go back and forth with some random dude whose name is like Booby Grabber 6667, like, what does that say to me as your player? I agree. You know what I mean? So I think for me, I agree. You got to let it go. I got no sympathy for the trolls, but I think it's just one of those things you got to keep in mind the big picture.
Yeah, I tend to put more responsibility on the coaches because you are adults. And you should be acting like one, and you should be setting the example for your players. Now, these players are 15, 16, 17 years old. What person you know at 15, 16, 17 doesn't have an attitude?
Look, I agree. That's what I'm saying. The players, I get it. But the ones who are really talented need to keep that stuff in mind, because one day they're going to have thousands of people who are watching their every move on social media, and there are going to be people who have things to say.
Right. So either you're going to have to just learn how to get tough skin, not worry about it, or you're going to get your burner account like KD does.
Yep. Get your burner account. Do all the troll response you want on your burner account. There's no problem with that. Do your thing.
So that's my advice. So for the kids, 15, 16, 17, you tired of these trolls, go get your burner account and then fire the trolls back up.
Yep. And
there we go.
So speaking of coaches, let's segue that right into our next topic. You know, story came out earlier. There's a lot of talent still available. Talent that's been in Sim League, talent that are recruits within Sim League, and then there's talent that's not a part of Sim League. They're not registered with Sim League. They're not technically in the league as a recruit or a player yet. Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, the top basketball recruits in the country, regardless of the leagues that they're playing in. And there's been, news about a while back, Cooper Flagg spotted in Boston, like, oh, he might go to the OGs. He's thinking about joining SimWorld. So my question for you, Rick, is that a good use of SimWorld coaches' time to be reaching out to those guys outside of SimWorld and saying, hey, we got an up-and-coming, the best prep league in the world, like, best competition, like, show your stuff. Is that worth their time to reach outside of SimWorld to try and acquire talent?
Oh, that's a good question. And I thought about both sides of it, and I'm going to lean towards no, it's not a good idea.
Okay.
I think especially in the time frame in which you do this, you got to understand, this is the recruiting time. This is the signing period. You already coming up with a game plan on how you want your team to look, and you're going out and telling these young men, these young boys, and telling their families, hey, I want your kid to help make this program a success. And in some instances, you tell these families, I want your kid to be my main guy for this program's success. When you do that, you build a certain rapport with those kids and a certain chemistry with that team, a certain culture with that team. To go back after that and just go get somebody else who you're going to taper your team to, obviously, or you wouldn't be going out your way to get them, it can kind of send a bad message to the team, to the players that's already on the team. You told us, Coach, that we were the ones that you wanted, that we were going to do this, and we were going to do that, and we were going to have these specific roles. Only for you to go ahead and go and just get X, Y, and Z, or Cooper Flagg, I'm just saying this name because you said his name, or Cooper Flagg, to throw a monkey wrench in everything we had planned on doing that we were supposed to be a part of. So I think the timing of it is in bad taste. I think if you want to go get your Cooper Flagg or whoever else, some big name, start with that guy first.
Okay,
and then build a team around it.
So I get that. With the whole timing thing in mind, where we are now, I think at this point, I do lean to agree that it's not necessarily worth it. You should be looking for guys who already are committed to playing within the league. I do think, I'll disagree here, like, I think it is very worthwhile in general to go out and reach out to these guys, because you just never know. And if you can go get a guy who has the potential to be, I mean, all of the guys who are top basketball recruits in the world, they're top basketball recruits in the world for a reason. And it's because every league they've played in so far, they've been dominant. So if you're a coach, and I think it also is case by case. If you are, let's say your best coast ballers at the beginning of this offseason, like you said, like, you go after that guy first. You're going after some other guys, Suno Chapa, DJ Davis, those guys. But I'm trying to rebuild an entire roster.
Right.
I have no problem, and in fact, I think it's a good idea to, at the very least, kind of get in contact and send a feeler out. If the guys are like, no, like, I'm committed, I'm playing in this other league, like, I'm doing the AAU circuit, whatever it is, then sure, great, done. I'm not going to waste time on it. But I think it's absolutely worth it, because a guy like Cooper Flagg, one, he's going to make your team an instant contender. We've all seen his play. We've seen the highlights. We've seen the 40 points, 10 rebound, 10 block games he's had. Like, the kid can hoop. And two, think about it from the perspective of, you're also helping out the other guys on your team that you're recruiting. One, in that when you have a great player, sometimes you can center your team and your scheme around him.
Are you can argue and say when Bronny joined Showtime, it's stunning all the other players' growth.
Okay, it might have stunted their growth, but that's I'm going to be real though, in my opinion, that's on the coach. If a star player stunts the other player's growth, that is on the coach. That's where I shift responsibility to the coach. Because there's got to be, I don't care how much star power a player has. If you can't coach him, then you're right. It's not worth going to get him. So if you're a coach and you said, I don't know if I can handle that kind of star power, I'm not going to feel comfortable coaching him and telling him what to do, then no, you shouldn't go get him. And that stands. But the other part of that is, when you get a guy like that who already has so many colleges looking at him, so many scouts' eyes on him, well, guess what? They're coming to the game, and if you can coach him well, and he can play well with your team, and the other guys are playing well with him, that gets more scouts' eyes on these other guys, too.
That's true.
So that's the big thing for me. Cooper Flagg has already made a name for himself outside of SimWorld, outside of everything. Like, every college in the country would love to get their hands on him, and they're going to be sending scouts to his game. So if you're one of his teammates, and the coach can, integrate him into the team in a way that doesn't stunt the other player's growth, like you got a better chance at getting scouted. So that's kind of my big thing. It puts eyes. Yeah. It puts eyes on the team.
And I think I'm gonna go back to your original point, which I agree with. I think it's a case by case scenario. I think the example you gave with best coach was a great example. Our team, our cupboard is bare right now. If I can spend, if it takes me 2 months recruiting the best player in high school sports, basketball, to get on my team and my cupboard is bare, then so be it. But if I have guys already on the team, if I have players already committed, and I'm spending 2 months or however much time on this one guy, if he ultimately says no, then now you get in the bottom of the barrel when you try to put together the rest of your roster. It's a dicey situation. I'll say this, and I'll leave it at this. There's only a few prime times Deion Sanders who can go get those guys at the drop of a hat. Most coaches can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think you have to know who you are as a coach and know what you're looking for as a team. And maybe you can bring a high-profile player in the middle of the season, and maybe you can control that whole situation. Maybe you can as a coach. But I just say this: for all the coaches who raising their hand, listening like, yeah, that's me. It's probably not you.
Yeah, there's only a handful of them.
And it's not even a hand. It's not a whole hand. It's about 3. I can name maybe 3.
Rick, don't do that to yourself. Don't incriminate yourself. Don't start putting names out there.
I'm not gonna put on that. I'm just saying a lot of these coaches have a hard time of taking care of the team that they currently have. Yeah. Keeping these guys situated. So you can imagine a Cooper Flagg or Bronny James or some high profile basketball player coming to your team. You can imagine what kind of takeover that is. I'm not gonna say no names, but I'm just saying as I'm thinking right now, there's probably 3 coaches. 4. There's probably 4 coaches that I would say I would trust a high-profile name on this team with this coach, and I would trust that the team would still run as it should as a team, and the players and everybody would be in line. The rest of there's 32 teams, the other 28, there's 30 teams. So the other 26 teams, no, that's not for you.
Yeah, I think 4 is a high number in my opinion. But look, you never know until you get a chance to see him do it. So that's all I'll say. You never know.
Sometimes the proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? I've seen other scenarios like, you ain't got to touch the fire to see that it's hot. You know what I mean? Like I've seen disasters this last season with the players that you do have. That tells me everything I need to know about you being able to bring in someone of a high profile stature and make that work. That's a lot of question marks. And like I said, for 26 coaches in the league, the answer is hell no. That's not what you want.
Yeah.
So let's get out of here with our pick and roll segment. I pick a topic, and then Siege has to roll with it. This one's gonna be easy. This is gonna be a cool one, Siege. Give me one of your best. Give me one of your best and one of your worst that you heard. The best cliche, one of the best cliches that you love, and one of the worst cliches that you don't really care for.
Ooh, one of the worst ones that I really hate is you can do anything you put your mind to. And I know that's a favorite. People love that saying. People love it.
Yeah, and why don't like
thing, Rick, it's just not true. It's just not true. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm a 5'9", averagely athletic white kid who had 3 hip surgeries from 2nd to 4th grade. There is no shot.
What were you doing?
It doesn't
What were you
matter.
doing between second and fourth grade? You need 3 hips. Well, you like the hula hoop champ or something? What's going on, G?
I won't go too into
He's
it.
the hula hoop champ.
I had Perthes disease. It's like a blood flow disease in the hip, something like that. I don't know. I was in a body cast for 6 weeks, Rick. It was crazy. But
I once dated a girl that used to be in a body cast. She came out real fine when she came out there. That's a whole other story. Go ahead.
It worked its magic. I'll tell you that. But I don't like that saying. It's like it's just not true. Like I could put all of my effort towards making the NBA. It wasn't realistic. It wasn't gonna happen, right? My favorite is, I'm trying to get the wording right. I'm trying to think. Here it is. It's a fool thinks himself to be wise, but a wise man knows himself to be a fool. And I think that's one that a lot of people in our league specifically.
That's not something else would say.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But I love that, and I think a lot of people in our league specifically should pay attention to that, because I think we got a lot of people who think they're a lot smarter than they are, and kind of want to put that out there, and they end up looking like fools. I'm not saying any names because I'm not thinking of anyone specific, but I think that's one, especially high school kids, and some of these coaches too need to remember.
Yeah, I agree. So we can name this particular episode to cliche or to not cliche.
Love it.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I like that one. That's a pretty good one. I had one I was going to say. It just escaped me just now, but yeah. So put it in the chat. Let's cuss and discuss. I can't think what I was going to say. Cuss and discuss. Talk about the cliches. You have one that you love. You have one that you hate. Let's talk about these trolls and these fans and these players and these coaches should be doing. And let's talk about what coaches you think could actually handle a high-profile name and still get the most out of his team and still hold it down. Again, it's only 4 of them. C says less than that. We'll let y'all cuss and discuss in the thread. Till tomorrow, we out. Peace.